The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game's been missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, I've been cooped up in the house all day, putting and adding some things to my first book, Just a Kid from Dania, The Boxing Journey and Stories of True School Sports, Volume 1. Not sure when it's coming out yet, but you guys will get an announcement when it does officially get finished and put together and put on Amazon and all those good things, and you guys can read it and enjoy it. I think it's great. I just had a chance to read through the whole book just now this afternoon. Not being biased, I think it's pretty good. But enough of that. Let's get into Callum Smith versus Canelo Alvarez, because my last video I did about this matchup, as it was announced, or just before it was announced, I wasn't very excited about this fight. I wasn't very excited nor positive about the matchup, but a lot of people are excited and a lot of people are positive about the matchup. So I will take a more optimistic approach and a more optimistic view for this video. Now, Callum Smith, Ring Magazine champion. Right now in terms of accomplishments, the most accomplished fighter in the super middleweight division. So on paper, this looks like a great fight. Obviously, fights aren't won on paper, but Callum Smith, a lot of people are looking at him as a live dog in this fight. So we have to ask the question, how does Callum Smith exactly beat Canelo Alvarez? Because ever since Canelo Alvarez got taken to school by Floyd Mayweather many years ago, he has leveled up as a fighter. He's showing improvements in every fight. He's showing maturity in every fight. He's showing growth in every fight. You see what I'm saying? He's the fighter who generally speaking, gets better with time. He's improving. He's adding things. He's showing different levels. He's showing different looks in his skill set. And that's the mark of a truly great fighter. When a fighter is doing that, that's the mark of a truly great fighter. And Canelo, in terms of his skill set and how he's developed, is definitely a great fighter. Regardless of what you think of him outside the ring and all the things going on with his career, his boxing talent is undeniable. Okay? Callum Smith has some significant advantages in this fight. Number one, he's significantly bigger than Canelo Alvarez. Callum Smith, I could be wrong because I don't got the information in front of me, but I know he's pushing about 6'1". He's very, very big for the weight class. I remember in 2016, I had a chance to see Callum Smith in person. And this is 2016. This was long before he was any sort of prospect or any sort of champion or somebody that was going to be on the radar of boxing fans. Nobody knew who Callum Smith was at this time in America. I damn sure didn't know much about Callum Smith at this time. But I saw him, and I saw him while I was with Tony Bellew, and he was bigger than Tony Bellew. And Tony Bellew was a cruiserweight. So I say that to say that Callum Smith is the naturally bigger guy in this fight. And the way he wins this fight is very simple. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this out. Is how can Callum Smith exploit the size advantage? How can he exploit the size advantage? He's going to have to really fight, in my opinion, the fight of his life. Because when we talk about Canelo Alvarez, we're talking about a fighter that is very good at closing the gap, getting on the inside. We're talking about a fighter that is very, very speedy and precise when timing his counter punches. And it's up to Callum Smith to use that size advantage to dominate the fight from the outside with the lead hand, with that lead left hand and the jab, and using that jab to not just score points and land with the jab, but he's got to probe with the jab. If you guys don't know what probing is in boxing, probing with the jab is when you're in your stance. I'm a southpaw, so my jab is my right hand. When you're in your stance and you're just kind of probing, you're kind of just like you're using that hand and you're putting it out there to measure the range, measure the distance, and to keep your opponent occupied and busy. So I feel like Callum Smith, if he's gonna set up his money punches, he's gonna have to do a lot of probing with that jab, all while being at a safe distance away from Canelo Alvarez to make Canelo Alvarez fall a bit short on these counters. Because believe you me, whether it's Callum Smith committing fully with the jab or if it's Callum Smith probing with the jab, Callum Smith will need to be at a good, comfortable distance for him to make these counter punches fall short, because they're going to come quickly and swiftly. And if he's not careful, he'll end up like Sergey Kovalev. You see what I'm saying? On the canvas. Um, so that's one reason. And then the second thing is this, all right, because it might become this kind of fight, and this is this is the reason why I think Canelo Smith can't beat Canelo, because this is why I think he's gonna come unstuck. Second question we got to ask ourselves is, if Canelo Alvarez closes that gap and takes away his legs from body shots, or just Canelo Smith's not able to control Canelo with the jab or that lead left hand, can Canelo Smith take himself to some deep, dark, and uncomfortable places he's never been to, and turn that around on Canelo and hit him with some shit he don't see coming, or just turn the fight around in his favor? And for me, I don't think he's gonna do that, because if you just look at the way Callum Smith reacts to punches, like I was rewatching some highlights from the Hassan Mandam fight. Anytime a fighter, whether it be Hassan Mandam, George Groves, Nishiki Holskin, John Ryder most notably, anytime a fighter throws with any sort of volume on Callum Smith, he immediately goes into the high guard and he looks for counters. But if you're someone like John Ryder, who's going to throw punches in 3-4 punch combinations, effective punches too, that are going to land, that are going to score, and you're placing them the right way, it's been shown in his fights that you can get Callum Smith's punch output to lower and stay in that high guard. You see what I'm saying? So Canelo Alvarez, I mean, he turned Sergey Kovalev into a sparring partner. I mean, obviously, I've said what I need to say about that fight in the past, but like, Sergey Kovalev was very hesitant to open up when fighting Canelo Alvarez. And it's because that when Canelo closes that gap, whether it's mid-range or on the inside, and he starts chopping you to the body, he's taking you to those deep, dark, and uncomfortable places we talk about here on True School Sports. He's stabbing you up on the top of the body, the bottom of the body. He's coming up to your chin with the uppercut, and he's very fast in doing this, and he's very precise, and it's something he's gotten better with as time has went on. So that's why I think Canelo Smith, that's a big part of why I think Canelo Smith is not a good fight, stylistically for Canelo. My bad. That's why I think that Callum Smith isn't a good fight stylistically from a competitive standpoint. It's a great fight for Canelo, because there's only so long Callum Smith is going to keep Canelo Alvarez occupied with that jab or with that lead hand. Eventually, Canelo will close that gap, and when he closes that gap, there's nothing that Callum Smith has shown me in his amateur or professional career that leads me to believe that he'll be able to handle Canelo Alvarez on the inside. I don't care how big he is. He's a big guy who's cutting a lot of weight, who has shown a tendency at times in his fights, over his last couple of fights, whether we're talking about John Ryder, whether we're talking about Nishiki Holskin, whether we're talking about George Groves. He is a fighter that when you turn the volume up on him, punch-wise, he's a fighter that has shown and proved himself to be a guy that gets sluggish in those middle to later rounds. And with Canelo Alvarez, that'll be the case. Now, my last and final point. What's another way Canelo Smith can beat Canelo Alvarez? Okay, so we've established that he needs to exploit he's got to exploit the size advantage with that lead left hand. Okay, and then if and when Canelo closes that gap, he needs to be able to flip the script on Canelo on the inside. You see what I'm saying? So there's that. But then the third and most notable is the right hand. The straight right hand. He's got to make Canelo Alvarez respect that straight right hand. And to me, even more so than my first point, this is where Canelo Smith has a great chance to really win this fight. If he's able to measure himself perfectly and land the straight right hand and not be in position to get countered by Canelo Alvarez, all while getting his respect, this is going to make him being able to dominate the fight with his jab a lot easier. You see what I'm saying? Because if he's landing that straight right hand, then Canelo can't just look for the jab. He's got to be wary of the right hand. And if it lands hard enough, who knows? He's a bigger guy. Canelo's a smaller guy. Canelo's been inactive longer than Callum Smith has. He might hurt him. He might stumble him. You never know. It's boxing. Anything can happen. But the straight right hand and anything he does with that right hand is of great importance to Canelo Smith. Now, he also has to be careful with the right hand, because I'll tell you this now. There's a reason that when there's a big reason that when Canelo Alvarez fought Sergey Kovalev, that he did that we didn't see the crusher. We didn't see the guy that was throwing the straight right hand consistently. It's because when you throw the straight right hand, it takes a little bit longer for that hand to come back to its natural position. And in the time that it's going to take for Callum Smith's right hand to come back to its natural position, Canelo will be looking for counter uppercuts to the head, counter hooks to the body, things like that. So the right hand, as far as I'm concerned, for Callum Smith, it's a do or die punch. It is a do or die punch. If he gets it down and he makes it a consistent weapon for him in this fight, he can win this fight. He can win this fight. If not, it's going to be a short night for him. If he's throwing that punch and he's getting too aggressive with it and careless with it, it will be a short night. We're talking about inside of 7 rounds, a short night for Callum Smith. And he might, and if he's not throwing that straight right hand with any sort of caution and intelligence, you know, Canelo Alvarez might turn his ass into Rocky Fielding 2.0. But I've laid it out for you. That's the strategy to victory I see for Callum Smith. Dominating the fight, winning the fight by exploiting his size by using the jab and the lead left hand. Flipping the script on Canelo when Canelo actually closes the gap and fights on the inside, and then using the straight right hand to his benefit to get Canelo's respect. Those are the 3 keys of victory for Callum Smith. If he can get all 3 of them down, he can win this fight. If he can get 2 of them down, you know, he's got about 40% chance of winning this fight. But like, let's say he's able to land the straight right hand and he's able to have a good jab in that fight, but he's unsuccessful at flipping the script on Canelo on the inside, and he allows Canelo to close that gap and chop him to the body on the inside. Well, then he still loses this fight. So that's how much of a perfect fight he's got to fight in this fight. He's got to be good on all 3 counts. If he's good on all 3 of those counts, he's got a chance to win this fight. And I'm gonna leave it at that. You know, let me know what you guys say in the comments down below. What do you think Callum Smith has to do to beat Canelo Alvarez and shake up the boxing world and become the next British mega boxing superstar? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Dang. So until next time, take care, guys.